Hi students, welcome back to Community Health Nursing. So we were going through the National Health Program, National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. In that we have discussed regarding anti-malarial program, then we have discussed regarding filaria control program and Kala Asar control program. So today we are going to move into the next vector-borne control program, that is Japanese encephalitis control program. So we can see that statistically there are still clinical cases of Japanese encephalitis. Um, we can really see some of the cases reported from Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, even from Kerala, Bihar, Maharashtra, Manipur, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. So this is actually a condition really which can affect so many sufferings like permanent intellectual problems, some of the behavioral problems, even neurological problems such as paralysis and even recurrent seizures and even inability to speak. These all things can happen from the as a complication or from the infection of Japanese encephalitis. So the disease is mostly found in rural and peri-urban areas where people live in closely with the vertebrate hosts. So even this is also an infection which is transmitted through the mosquitoes. So the vector control intervention strategies are alternate wet and dry irrigation. As we all know, the breeding places of most of the mosquitoes, it is actually paddy field. So as recognized, the flooded rice field have been the ideal breeding place for several mosquito species, including those that transmit the Japanese encephalitis. So the alternative wetting and drying of paddy field is recommended. So it is one of the strategies. So the first strategy is AWDI. What is AWDI? Alternate wet and dry irrigation. So what they recommend is they have to alternatively control the water which is stagnated in the paddy field, which helps in interfering with the development of the mosquito from the larva to the pupae. So when the mosquitoes lay their eggs and when it become larvae, and when they reduce the water content in the paddy field, when they dry the paddy field, of course the larva will not be grown up into the stage of pupa, or that means the adult mosquito. So which in turn it can control the mosquitoes which can cause the Japanese encephalitis. So it is one of the strategy under the vector control intervention for Japanese encephalitis, that is AWDI, alternate wet and dry irrigation. The second one is biological control strategies. So as I have told, there are so many natural fishes which can eat the larva of the mosquitoes. So like some of the fishes, even they have given examples also, like gambusia fish, tilapia fish. So these type of fish, and even guppy fish, as I have told, these fish, they used to eat the larva of the mosquito, so that there will be a biological control of the vectors. Then chemical controls, as we all know, the chemicals can be sprayed, through that it can be controlled. Some of the examples are also given: delta methrin, organophosphates, carbamates. So these chemicals also can be used in order to control the vectors. Next is, of course, through health education. We have to educate the community regarding the cause, spread, prevention and management of Japanese encephalitis. And we have to involve the community members. To keep the surroundings clean, because all these 6 infections which is under the vector borne disease control program, they all need really environmental sanitation, because the poor environment or the poor surroundings can really boost up the breeding places of mosquitoes, which can in turn lead to all these infections. So engage the community in the activities like filling the pools, draining of accumulated water. So if there is any stagnated water, they have to clean it weekly, and lowering the water levels in the rice field, as we have told. Alternatively, they have to dry the paddy field, or they have to lower the water level in the paddy field, so that there will be cut down in the number of mosquito breeding places. Next is the personal protective measures. The same thing. This is what I have told. All these things can be commonly you can use for all this, because mosquitoes are the main reason of transmission. So they are the main vectors. So vector control is the main strategy behind this all this infections. So the personal protective measures, like we can wear full sleeve clothes, use of mosquito coils. We can even burn neem leaves around the house. We used to hear this traditionally. Neem is such a plant that which has so much of miraculous medical effect. So if we burn the neem leaves, it can really protect us from mosquito. The mosquitoes will not come if we burn the neem leaves. Not only this, you may have heard about the neem leaves importance during the chickenpox infection. So neem leaves have really medical or medicinal value. Then we can avoid water stagnation, as I have told. Then we can avoid the sleeping outdoors, because we can protect ourselves from mosquitoes. Then insecticide treated mosquito nets can be used, bed nets, and apply repellents. We can use mosquito repellent creams, so that the skin will not come in contact with the mosquitoes. Then we can eliminate the pig farming, which is also one of the high source for mosquito breeding. So pig farming also can be eliminated. So let us see the management. There is no specific treatment available for Japanese encephalitis. Most often the hospitalized patients are managed with feeding. That means we used to see their diet or nutritious aspect. We can do the airway management if they have any breathing difficulty, and we can see for the anticonvulsant drugs, because most of the Japanese encephalitis cases, they land up in the complication of seizures. So we can control the seizures by using anticonvulsants. So these patients may require long-term care and rehabilitation. So only supportive treatment, only supportive care and rehabilitation is there. Otherwise prevention is the only thing what we can do against Japanese encephalitis. So the next, the final part what we can do as a community health nurse is surveillance. So when we tell about the surveillance program of Japanese encephalitis, we have mainly three types of surveillance. First one is clinical surveillance. I hope we all know what is clinical surveillance. That means through early diagnosis. So whoever is coming to the clinics, that means the passive surveillance. We should be, as a nurse, we should be able to diagnose it as early as possible, and we have to manage the Japanese encephalitis patient even at the PHCs. Next is vector surveillance in risk areas of Japanese encephalitis, to assess the vector behavior and strengthen the ecosystem accordingly. So we have to see that which area these mosquitoes are mostly breeding, and we have to control the vectors. So vector surveillance should be taken in which area this type of mosquitoes are breeding. If any of the cases is coming from that particular area, we have to do all the vector control measures. We have to strengthen in that particular area. That is about vector surveillance. The next one is sero surveillance. What do you mean by zero? Sero means SCRO. That means serological examination. That means here we test the blood for the presence of antibodies, so that we'll be able to see that whether Japanese encephalitis is prone in the particular area. So we used to check for the antibodies, especially in the animals and the birds, in the high risk areas, because whoever this mosquito bites, of course even in the animals, so they all will be having the antibodies as a part of their immunity part. So we'll be doing the serological examination, that is sero surveillance. So these are the main three surveillance which the community health nurse has to take care in the Japanese encephalitis program. Other than that, there is no particular treatment for Japanese encephalitis, as we have told. Only thing is we can do the supportive treatment like anticonvulsants, all the nutritious feeding or the airway maintenance and rehabilitation. These all things can only be done, and the other things are vector control, because vector control is the only thing. Japanese encephalitis can really cause so much of neurological problems, even permanent intellectual problems, even paralysis or seizures or inability to speak itself. So it should be taken care. As we all know, the vectors should be properly managed, the mosquitoes. That is the only way through which we can control the Japanese encephalitis. If it is present in a particular area, as a community health nurse, it's our role to make the surveillance program more strong. Next, let us see the dengue control program. So dengue is mostly occurs in tropical and subtropical climates globally. Severe dengue is a major cause of death among the children in some of the Asian and even Latin American countries. We all used to hear about this dengue even a few years back. Previously there was no such diseases. So as we all know, the dengue comes usually it spread very fast. So if one or two dengue cases comes in a particular village or in a particular area, then very fast we will be able to see that in the whole district or to the nearby district it spreads very fast. So government used to take much importance or seriousness on the dengue control programs. There was an outbreak of dengue which has been reported in Delhi in the year 1996. So the government, in consultation with states, identified that around 311 hospitals to provide support for laboratory investigations in epidemic or in endemic areas. In addition, around 14 apex referral laboratories also were linked with the hospitals, because in case of dengue, as we all know, the platelet count should be checked and all the laboratory investigations should be made free through the government setup. So most of the government hospitals and even the referral laboratories with attached with these government hospitals are also given these services from the government side in order to control the dengue, or so that we can early identify, so that the death rate can be minimized in dengue. So when we tell about the preventive and control aspect of the dengue fever, there are 8 key elements. So most of these 8 key elements are the same thing which we have already seen in all the vector control program. The first one is surveillance. So surveillance is the only thing we can see that, as we have discussed from the past 3-4 days, every day we can see that this surveillance in all this program, surveillance is given such an importance, because as early we have to identify, then only we can do something so that the spread can be controlled, so that the vectors can be controlled in the particular area, so that we can make the people aware about the cleanliness, environmental sanitation, all this aspect. So surveillance is indicated in all endemic areas of Aedes aegypti mosquito and Aedes albopictus, because these two mosquitoes are highly dangerous, which can really spread the dengue fever. Then the sentinel clinics should report to public health authority the number of cases reported with temperature above 38 degrees Celsius. This would assist for further identification of the cases by blood test. That means any of the small clinics, like even sub centers or in any of the private clinics or any of such clinics, if they have got the patients with the temperature and having low platelet count which suspect a dengue fever, they should really tell or report this type of incidents towards the public health authority, so that the government will come to know that in that particular area the dengue is getting started. Then only we will be able to do the further measures, so that it can be controlled very fastly. Second one is case management. As we all know, the laboratory diagnosis and the clinical management should be done for the prevention and control of dengue at the right time. Next is the vector management. In that, source reduction, chemical control, personal protection, legal measures, all these things should be strengthened for vector management. Then outbreak response. epidemic preparedness and media management. So the epidemic preparedness, if there is an epidemic going to happen, if it is spreading like anything, if a sudden outbreak is happening, then of course we should be prepared enough, the government should be, so that the platelet can be, the platelet we have to transfuse to the patients. So all the hospitals should have enough transfusion set for platelets. All the dengue management drugs should be available, and antipyretics should be available, because fever is the main symptom seen in dengue. And even the media management, so that through the mass media they used to give the education, or they used to make the public aware that how we have to protect ourselves from dengue. The next one is capacity building. The fifth one is capacity building, where the training can be given for the health personnel, and infrastructure development can be done through strengthening the sub-center PHC and all the public sectors, and even operational research, so that surveys can be done. We can do further studies how it can be prevented, from which area it is spreading more, what is the main cause in this particular area, why the dengue is coming again and again. So all these things can be understood through operational research activities. Then behavioral change communication, as we all know, the social mobilization, and even the IEC activities, these all can really we can change the behavior. Behavioral change communication is also very very important as a strategical method. Next is intersectoral coordination with the health and even the other non-health sectors, as I have told, the cleanliness, water drainage facilities, even the water supply, even the public sanitation, all the village panchayat, everything should join their hands in the cleanliness activities. If there is any stagnated water, such type of things should be seen, and the larval fish should be available in the CHC. All these things should be done as a part of intersectoral coordination. Next is monitoring and supervision. So it is always, as we all know, we have to review the things, we have to go for the field visit, we have to analyze the various report, and we have to see how many of cases, whether it is increasing or decreasing, all these things, and finally we should even give the feedback to the government. So these monitoring and supervision is also one of the key element in the prevention and control of any of this vector borne control diseases. So this is all we can what we can do in the dengue management. Even in the case management also, only what we can do is the fever management or early identification that it is dengue fever only. Then we can monitor the platelet count of the patient, and in severe cases fluid transfusion can be done, and along with that, if the platelet is going down, we can transfuse even the platelets. These are the only case management which can be done in the dengue fever. So these 8 things even we can write as the part of role of nurse also, because the role of nurse is the same. She has to do the surveillance, she has only to do the case management, she has to take part in vector management programs, and she has to manage an epidemic preparedness. She has to make the population aware about an epidemic is going to come, and she has to give a part in the health education, in the media management. She can only do various research and surveys. So all these things is the part of a community health nurse in preventing and controlling the dengue fever. Then let us see the last one, that is the chikungunya. This is the 6th program, or this is the 6th element which is coming under the National Vector-Borne Control Program. So the name chikungunya is originated from a word in the Kimakond language, which is meaning to become controlled. So the word meaning is to become contorted. That describes the sufferers with stooped appearance and joint pain. Because as we all know, chikungunya is also, like a few years back only we used to start hearing this name. Even this is also, as we all know, it is transmitted through mosquitoes only, through vectors. So here we all know that the patient will be having severe joint pain. So here also only fever is the main thing, and even the patient will be suffering from severe joint pain symptoms, and even the patient will not be able to stand straight. She will not be able to maintain, he or she will not be able to maintain the gait. Even they looks like stooping, like there will be a leaned posture. They cannot even stand straight because of the pain of the joints. The chikungunya has been found in more than 60 countries, even in Asia. We can see this. And national filaria control program, so wherever national filaria control program, there also we will be able to see especially this chikungunya cases. The same prevention, control, and surveillance strategy of dengue is applied even in chikungunya cases also. Because see, even this all, why we have integrated all this under vector borne disease control program? Why? Because they all are having the same vectors as the transmitters. So of course, since there is no proper treatment, we have to do only prevention and control. So the same thing, whatever the 8 elements, key elements, what I have discussed in dengue, the same we can even implement here also for chikungunya. So now let us see what is the role of community health nurse. So what she can do here for chikungunya. So we can educate on environmental control. We can educate the people regarding environmental control. Actually, prevention and control release profoundly on reducing the number of natural and artificial water filled containers that largely support the mosquito breeding. So when we tell about the environmental control, the first and the major part what we have to do is, as we all know, the mosquitoes, they breed in the stagnated water. So here also the only thing what they emphasize is, as a community health nurse, we can really make the people aware, and we can educate them by telling that even the natural source or the artificial source, everything wherever water is getting stagnated, we should be very much aware about. So we should get the support of the community. So in order to get the support of the community, as we all know, the person who is dealing with the community, he or she who is going to the home visit, it may be a community health nurse, it may be asha worker, it may be an anganwadi worker, any of the peripheral health workers, they can really do wonders in getting the in gaining the cooperation from the community part. The next one is educate them regarding the personal protective measures. So same thing whatever we have learned in the previously, we can the clothing which minimizes the skin exposure to the day biting vectors. Because as we all know, even dengue, chikungunya, everything, mostly it is getting spread through the mosquitoes which bite in the morning timings. We have to avoid the skin exposure towards the day biting vectors. Where possible, clothes can be treated with permethrin to repel the mosquitoes. Even some of the clothes also we can do the chemical treatment with the medication permethrin, so that the mosquitoes will not come near to the particular cloth which is washed in that or treated with that. Then application of repellents to exposed skin. Mosquito repellent creams can be used. Even the repellents which is having the content of DEET. DEET means diethyl toluamide. So it is diethyl toluamide, which is one of the main content which we can see among the repellents which is used against the vectors. So this medication, the ingredient of DEET should be the one of the presence in the repellents, so that we can control the vectors. Then the use of insecticide treated mosquito net for protection. Then the mosquito coils we can use, or any other insecticide vaporizers also can be used in order to prevent the indoor biting. So that usually we used to see traditionally during the evening timings, even our grandparents, they used to use all this fumes, all this mosquito coils, so that we can avoid the mosquitoes coming inside. Indoor biting can be prevented. നമ്മൾ നാട്ടിൻപുറത്തൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ കർപ്പൂരം പുകയ്ക്കുക പെരയ്ക്കകത്ത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് മുന്നേ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ നീമിൻ്റെ ലീവ്സൊക്കെ അല്ലെ, ആര്യവേപ്പിൻ്റെ ഇല കൂട്ടിയിട്ട് കത്തിക്കുക മുറ്റത്ത്. അതായത് കൊതുകുകളൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ പെരയ്ക്കകത്തോട്ട് വരാതിരിക്കാനുള്ള മാർഗ്ഗമാണ്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കുന്തിരിക്കം പുകയ്ക്കുക പെരയ്ക്കകത്ത്. സോ കുന്തിരിക്കം, കർപ്പൂരം, ആര്യവേപ്പിൻ്റെ ഇല, സോ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ കത്തിച്ച്, സോ ദാറ്റ് ദ ഫ്യൂംസ് ക്യാൻ റിയലി പ്രിവെൻറ്റ് the mosquitoes coming inside, so that the indoor biting also can be prevented. Because the only thing is we have to control the vectors, then only we will be able to control all of these vector borne diseases. Then living rooms should be fitted with insect screens on windows and on doors. So most of the areas where there is more prone of mosquitoes, we can see that there will be nets fixed on the windows and the doors, so that they will not come inside. So these are some of the main things we should keep in mind as the role of community health nurse in the vector borne control diseases. So I hope you all have got an idea regarding vector borne disease control program. You don't get upset because it was a little long one, but it is almost the case management, the strategies or the vector controls are the same thing. Only thing you have to remember, the main thing is under National Vector Borne Disease Control Program we are having 6 things, which are the malaria, dengue, lymphatic filariasis, Kala Azar, Japanese encephalitis, and even chikungunya. So among these 6 things, all of the diseases are transmitted by mosquitoes, except which one? Except Kala Azar. Kala Azar is transmitted by sand flies, but still it is a vector, so all the vector control things can be used against even Kala Azar also. So all these 6 programs they have brought under one umbrella, that is National Vector Borne Disease Control Program. I hope you all have followed this particular health program. So the RNTCP program and National Vector Borne Disease Control Program was a little bigger one. These two are the only biggest health programs we can see in this particular unit. All the other things are very minute and very small one. This is very important also. So you all have to read and learn much more in detail about National RNTCP, Revised National Tuberculosis Program, and same way National Vector Borne Disease Control Program. That's why even RNTCP also I have taken in a little depth. You should know about the tuberculosis, how we identify it, how do the case management is done regarding the tuberculin test, regarding the short-term chemotherapy, regarding the differences between previous tuberculosis program and revised tuberculosis program. All these things you have to remember. So thank you students. So in the coming class we will be continuing with the other national health programs.